9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
What's going on, folks? This is Coach Markus, Pro Fan Talk. Thank you for joining me. I got a special guest tonight. There are a few people that I've learned to watch and pay attention to, especially in this YouTube space, especially talking about sports and the Eagles, because most of the people that you watch, all the media heads, they don't watch tape. This guy is in my top list as understanding the game, knowing what he's talking about, and you can best believe he has watched the film. I got my guy, Brian Baldinger. You got Greg Cosell, and you got this guy right here, Barrett Brooks. Barrett, what's going on, brother? Let me get you in the stream. Hold on. Where we go? There we go. What's going on, big guy?
Yo, what's going on, man? Appreciate you having me on the show, man. It took long enough, man, for you to ask me, man. I'm like, when is my turn coming, man? When is my turn?
Man, you busy. I'm trying to play catch up with all you guys, man. But we talked about a little bit about this before, man, and about all of these media heads who just do not watch tape, man. Where did this stuff come from, bro?
It's a shame that I actually don't do this to really. I don't watch the tape just so I can come talk about it. I watch the tape because I love seeing and figuring out what teams are trying to do to each other. How is this team trying to break down their cover two? How is this team over here trying to make sure that they take advantage of the middle of the field and their lack of linebacker play? Or I want to see what these teams are doing against each other to see how they're going to combat this and what's going to be the reaction to that. So I'm into that. It's almost like I'm playing battleships. You know what I'm saying? You trying to sink his battleship, he's trying to keep you from sinking his battleship. So I mean, it's tough for me to listen to some guys sometimes because they just don't know or they just don't care. They just say whatever they want to say. Me, I want the casual fan to understand, look, this is what's going on. They're running cover two. They're squatting their corners on the outside. So they're not prone to double moves because if they're squatting the corner, he doesn't care about that because he has a safety over the top. So those are the type of little things I want to get out to the fans so they understand when they're at the watering cooler and they're sitting back talking about the game. They know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And when I said it, it's 100% truth when I said it. In my mind, it was true when it happened. You know what I'm saying? It may be different, something different later on, but it wasn't a lack of me not knowing what was going on. I'm telling you.
Right. And you see all these people, man, and it looks like the optics of it is they want to either seem right or they're doing it just to be polarizing.
Yeah,
where whether you right or wrong, people gonna come to see what you said, whether it's right or wrong, and they want the clicks and the views and all of that kind of stuff.
I'm not a clickbait guy, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just not a clickbait guy.
It's crazy, man.
That's why I enjoy talking to you, man, because at least you know what you're talking about. You know what the hell's going on, man. You know what I'm saying? I can talk to you and understand it. So, I mean, I appreciate that aspect of it. When we shoot text throughout the games, we're watching the game, we shoot text back to each other. Hey, man, you see this? And I'll say, yep, I saw that too. Did you see this? So, man, I appreciate people to understand the game that want to talk about the game and really not just throw something against the wall and think it's going to stick. I'm not that type of guy.
Right. And also, man, one of the biggest lessons I learned when I was in college, I had a coach tell me, know what you don't know. And if you know what you don't know, you know where to go to get those answers.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And so I know who to talk to. If I'm a running back, so I'm not that schooled on defense and stuff like that. So you know what? I'll listen to you. I'll listen to Baldy. I'll listen to Seth. Always find somebody smarter than you. If you're the smartest guy in the room, find a new room.
You gotta find.
You know what I mean?
Room,
so
yeah, you've outgrown that room.
Absolutely, man. But the Eagles D-line. I keep hearing all these people kind of two different topics, but number one, everybody's talking about what we're not going to do this year because our schedule is a little bit tougher,
right?
And it should be. But it seems like everybody just assumes, like, did y'all not see the draft we just had? Does it look like we did not get better? And all these other teams that we're going to be playing, and admittedly they are tougher teams, but they're going to have their issues and their problems too. It's not, nobody's exempt. So everybody's going to catch it at one point in time. So it's all about the bottom line. the best success you can get going through the season is if you stay healthy. That is number one. Because if we lose QB1, you can that's a wrap. You know what I mean? So it's all about staying healthy. Then everything else falls into place. So everybody else going to have these problems too.
QB1 and wide receiver 1 and 2.
Absolutely.
So you're right, man. But I tell people all the time, you know, looking at this schedule, everybody, look at the schedule. We got Murderers Row. Well, they don't understand that. All right, the Eagles are a good team, and everybody's stacking their rosters against what the Eagles have done. You look at Dallas; They went out and got Mazzy Smith, defensive lineman from Michigan. Why? Because he's a run stopper. What do the Eagles do? They run the ball.
Run the ball.
If you look at Shoemaker, the tight end they got from Michigan, another Michigan guy. He's great in running around in the middle of the field. What do we lack as far as experience in the middle of the field? Our linebackers. They went out and drafted specifically to make sure that they would stop the Eagles. You look at that's just what the league is. But people also got to understand this. Of course, when you look at the roster, those are tough teams. But please don't get it twisted, because everybody that got their schedule, they circled the Eagles. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? They circled it. That's going to be their Super Bowl. So they're understanding how good the Eagles are. So we as a fan base should be like, all right, we're good also. I don't care about how good this team is, that team is. I don't care. All I know is this Eagles team is fundamentally sound because they're built well in the trenches, number one. Number two, they got the right guy at the quarterback position.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. And as long as I've been in this area, I never thought that I would see a rivalry that could possibly usurp the Cowboys and the Giants.
Right.
But damn it, if all these damn 49er fans, all this talking they doing, all this whining, that's what we call them, the 40 whiners now.
Yes.
And, right? My thing is like 2-3 weeks after the game, I get it. I understand. That's a nasty taste in your mouth. So as a former player, I understand that feeling. 4 months later, nah. You got to keep it moving.
If we had a quarterback.
Right.
Your quarterback got knocked out because you didn't call an offensive play design that could keep your quarterback from getting knocked out the game. You chose to put 2 tight ends on a guy with 17 sacks. You chose to do that. We didn't put that play in there. So they had a tight end blocking one-on-one against Hassan Reddick. That was your fault. Hence, that's why your quarterback got knocked out. It's not our fault. It's not our fault that your quarterback does not squat 600 pounds. You know what I'm saying? It's not our fault that he can't take a hit. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why he was the last player drafted in the draft. People understand.
It's irrelevant.
Exactly. When you look at the 49ers team with that head coach, you won't have a big name quarterback with them. He doesn't believe in big name quarterbacks. He is a system guy. He's going to bring guys in to come in and run his system. He doesn't care about the big name. He doesn't care about bringing in a quarterback that's an all-star quarterback, because he believes in his system more so than the talent of his quarterback. So it doesn't matter who he has. They can have Brock Purdy. They can have whoever there.
Right.
It's his system in which he's going to highlight.
And don't forget, if it wasn't for a defensive error, Garoppolo would have took him to the Super Bowl. If it wasn't for what's the guy we ended up signing for 5 minutes that dropped that softball of an interception?
Right. Ward.
Yeah. If he doesn't drop that interception, they run the clock out. Game over.
Yep.
Game over. So Garoppolo got you to where you wanted to go. The defense couldn't finish the job, and trust me, I'm high on D'Amico Ryans, but in that situation, you had it in your hands and you didn't make the play. Period. So fast forward to next year, you thought you had it in your hands, but that system didn't work. You put a tight end against arguably the defensive player of the year, and you got burned for it. Absolutely. And then your backup got smashed. So, it is that just wasn't smart football. Nobody told you not to dress a third quarterback. You gambled and you lost.
Yep.
So Stop whining. Stop whining. Another issue is me personally, I get real tired of all the OTA talk real quick. And I understand that's a fandom thing, but I'm like, if I see one more post or hear one more thing about how Jalen Hurts was throwing dimes at OTAs, I'm like, he's not throwing dimes. He's just warming up his arm. He ain't doing anything special. Relax. Every throw, hitting the dime or putting it on the money, you're launching bombs. And it's not just us. Everybody does it. And I understand that's the fandom kicking in because everybody's football star. But I'm like, pump the brakes on that just a little bit. Please. Bro, it's not that serious.
And you're not even going to see it in camp either.
No.
Number one. Number two, you're not going to see it in camp. They're not doing that. He may have the best camp ever behind closed doors, but you're not going to see it in the preseason. You're not going to see it until they lace them up that first game. And that's because the starters aren't playing in the preseason. We've already established that. They all when they hit Jalen Hurts last year in the
Jets game. The Jets game. Yep.
Preseason, we knew from that point on we would not see another starter. In fact, I don't even think at this point that they're going to let Cam Jurgens play, even though he's a fresh guard, a new guard being in the system. Mm-hmm. He won't play in the preseason. None of the starters will play in the preseason. It'll be all your backups, and you see, and it'll be ample opportunity for guys like Reed Blankenship to make the squad. Then because I look at Reed Blankenship. He had the nastiest number. That's the ugliest number in the world, man. 47. As a safety wearing number 40, that's the number that you don't make the squad when you have that number. But during the preseason, he made that number 47 stick out. He made that number 47. Notice. So he made the squad because he had that ugly number on. He balled out, and you had to pay attention to number 47. I'm so glad he changed his number 32. But that's what this preseason for the Eagles is going to be. You're going to see guys out there. You're going to see if a Devin Allen can play. You're going to see if a Charleston Rambo can play the wide receiver. Joseph Nagata. All these guys are going to go out there and play and get ample opportunity to play. I want to see what Kayvon Wallace is going to do. I want to see what Sidney Brown's going to do out there. You're going to see a little bit of Nolan Smith out there. But you won't see Jalen Carter out there. You know what I'm saying? You won't see him out there. But you may see Nolan a little bit. You may see, you're going to see Kaylee Ringo out there. Zach McPherson. All these guys are trying to make the team. Even Greedy Williams will be out there.
Yeah.
But you're not going to see any of the starters. None of them. You're not going to get a good valuation on Nakobe Dean because he's not going to play.
Nah, I still want to see Trey Sermon, personally.
I forgot all about him. You know what I'm saying? All these running backs we're bringing in. I forgot all about Trey Sermon. And they made it a point to talk about Trey Sermon. We brought him in. Our running back room is tight, bro.
Yeah. Our running back room is tight.
It is.
But you know what? On that point, it seems to me like it is a lot more difficult now for the coaches and stuff like that to really get a true evaluation of what you got on the squad. Excluding the 3 and 4 year vets. Right. But when you cycling in them young players, man, when we was in camp, we had to bang.
Oh.
So if it was a big thing as a rookie or a second year player, or even for me, I was undrafted, to be able to go in there and shake somebody, to be able to run past somebody that got drafted in the 4th round. So you can open some eyes and stuff like that, because that's how we made the squad. So how do they evaluate that more? I don't have the opportunity to go down and watch practice. So what do you see down there? Because to me, it would have to be strictly on the mental game, mental reps.
More than likely, that's where they make their evaluations. You know what I'm saying? They put a lot of stock on their ability to evaluate talent in shorts. How do you evaluate talent in shorts? I mean, I've seen guys go out there and look like they were all world. Remember that linebacker we got from Minnesota that they eventually cut halfway through the season? I mean, he was saying all the right things. We thought he was going to be a baller. He's talking about he became a vegan, and he was all this and all that. He went and took the karate, taekwondo, or whatever that martial art it was. What was his name?
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Oh man, but you know what?
And that's got out there.
Right. He was the starting wheel linebacker, started like half the season. And I was sitting back and I'm like, yo, this guy, he's saying all the right stuff. He's gonna be pretty good. Man, he couldn't block it. He couldn't jump his way out of a paper bag. He couldn't knock his way. It's the worst. I mean, I couldn't believe how bad he was, man. What was his name? Oh my
man,
God.
what did they used to say back in the day? Live like Tarzan, play like Jane.
Yes. So these days, man, I thought you had to make a squad. If you were gonna be good, you had to make a squad. He couldn't make anything. I can't even find his name now, man. I can't even find.
I know you're talking about, but I can't remember, man.
Right. And that's a problem right there.
Yeah,
right there. We couldn't. Was it like 2 years ago or 1 year ago?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Wow, that's
because it was a year before we got Kazir.
Yeah, it was. You're right. You're right about that.
So
you're absolutely right about that. Yep.
That was the one thing that kind of I was always concerned about with Sirianni, because I look at coaches like Belichick,
Eric
Parcells,
Wilson. That was his name.
Eric Wilson, yes.
Eric Wilson.
But you think of coaches like Belichick, Parcells, Jimmy Johnson, guys like that weren't afraid to tell you straight up, like, listen, you're not what I need right now, so I got to let you go. And they would get the guy that they needed or they wanted. They wouldn't BS you, and they weren't afraid to make those moves. And that's why they had the success they had.
Yep.
Because they weren't afraid to cut the fat. And it seems like you got some coaches still do that, but most of them don't. Most of them do not.
You're absolutely right. Because how do they evaluate? At what point do you read the heart of a guy going into the year? What point? Because during training camp we banged it out, and because of that, you could see if a guy could go out there and give you that little bit of extra that you don't see.
Right.
I don't see how you can see that and evaluate from a guy if he's out there in shorts and he doesn't get tired. They maximize their time out on the field. I will say that. They're only out there an hour, hour and 15 minutes, hour and 30 the most. But during that time, they're maximizing that time spent out there. They're not walking around. They're not looking around. They are in a drill. They're doing this. They're running to this. They're maximizing. But it's still, how do you know who has the heart to go make something happen even when you're tired, even when you've given your all? Do you have that next level of giving? I don't know how they get that, but I can't really talk about that.
And not the results.
The results is they started all 22 starters played in the Super Bowl, started in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. That's never happened before. I can honestly, I could probably say without a shadow of a doubt that has never happened before in the NFL, that all 22 starters that started again going into the Super Bowl.
Right. I remember way back in 93, we had signed Tim Harris from the 49ers. And I remember him making a comment in practice because he wasn't used to going that hard in practice out in San Francisco.
Right. So Tim Harris, the defensive end.
Yeah.
With the fingers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He got the fingers, and he was the before getting drunk at games and stuff like that was popular. That's what that joker used to come to practice smelling like alcohol. He used to sweat alcohol. He used to drink so much, man. It was unreal.
Right. It was different back in those days too, man. It was different.
Yeah, and he was at the end of his career, and he still had a reputation about that. But in any case, I remember him saying that he wasn't used to practicing that hard.
I was the same. I experienced that same thing, man. I can remember it was so much different back then. Anyways, like,
yeah, man.
I my first 4 years in the league. Well, all the years I was with the Eagles, and I had Ray Rhodes. These kids here, man, they got all the stuff to be, to take their bodies to the limit. Like, they got Gatorade, they got shakes, they've got everything, protein, whatever you need, electrolytes. I remember the night before a game, we had Gatorade in one bucket, and the next bucket we had water, and then the bucket next to that, it was beer. Because guys like Michael Zordich and all those guys, they get 2 beers to help them sleep at night.
Yeah.
And that was like commonplace because they knew how to take care of business. Well, at the end of the day, go out there and play, man. So Ray would have a cake. I mean, not a cake, but like I said, an ice chest with beer in it, an ice chest with water, and an ice chest with Gatorade in it.
Yeah,
Different.
Different, man. I saw a video on YouTube the other day. I think it was from a college, and the team nutritionist was following this dude around all day. Like, up is this time. You got here's your one meal, here's your other meal, here's a snack, here's a protein shake. Like all day, she was on him. He was like, got to keep my weight. He was an offensive lineman. He was like, got to keep my weight up. So she was like right there, and I'm sure a lot of that was because they were producing this video. But still, the point, you get all of these resources at your disposal to feed you steak and asparagus and broccoli and all of that kind of stuff that we didn't have, back in the day.
Yeah, man. I mean, Kansas State, you know what I'm saying? I had to, back then I was small, you know what I'm saying? I played all 4 years of my senior career. All 4 years up until my senior year, I played it right around 285. I wasn't even 300 then. I didn't get 300 until I got to the NFL, and I was 305 at the combine, and I had to eat to get to that point. But I can remember all they used to give me. They give me 3 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at the end of the day, and 2 things of chocolate milk. And that'd be my weight gain going into during the season, to keep my weight up, because I would get down. Like one time, I remember I played a game at like 268. It's my junior year, 268, man. So it was different back then for sure. It was different.
Bro, I'm 1AA, man. I believe at one point, my senior year, I may have had a center that was like 230, 240.
Right.
Crazy, dude. He was good because he was fast, but like I remember my true freshman year, we had this dude. His name was Al Jason Vicious. He was from Boston, and he was 6'5", 305, and I thought he was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. Now, that's every day.
Right. They did an article when I first got in the league. I was one of like 30 guys that were 300 pounds in the NFL, period. In the NFL. Like I remember Denver's line and the 49ers line, there was nobody over 280. All those guys were like 280, at the most 285.
Right.
Small, quick guy. But then you got Dallas. Dallas came in. They had nobody under 320. They had Nate Newton, except for Stepnowski. But they had Nate, Mark Tuane, Larry Allen, Eric Williams.
Larry Allen was that dude. Larry Allen was that dude.
He was the strongest human being I've ever seen in my life, bro. The strongest I've ever seen in my life. Unreal, man. Great guy too. Great guy.
Yep.
But just unreal, man. I kicked him. We lost in the second round of the playoffs to Dallas, and we got stuck down in Dallas because like a week before, it was the biggest snowstorm Philly had in a long time. It's the snowstorm of 96.
Yep,
and,
I remember.
And we got stuck down for 2 days. And I can remember LA. And, he a couple of guys went out, man. They gave me a call, and I went out with them, man. A couple of guys from the Eagles went out with him. And I can remember the next day waking up and, just wondering just looking at this dude, how strong he is, man. So he showed me some tape of him lifting. His bar was permanently bent like this from all the way. He's benched like 700 pounds, bro.
It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
He was a freak. He was a freak, man.
He was.
Do you see let me put it like this. Which concerns you the most? Our offense or our defense?
Defense. Defense definitely concerns me more.
I agree.
And it's only a couple positions, you know what I'm saying? It's really just 2 positions that really concern me. The linebacker position and the safety position. And when I can say concerned, it's nothing that I would lose sleep on, put it like that. Right.
My concern is not the players. I think our secondary is going to be tight. I just do.
Know what? I'm right about that.
I'm one of them dudes that's high on Blankenship.
Yep.
Because last year, Blankenship was not supposed to do what he did.
No,
period.
Exactly.
He got his opportunity and he showed out. So that lets me know he was ready to play. No, he's not the fastest, but he's a physical player and he's cerebral. And I would rather have a player that'll outthink you, because that's going that's gonna come into play a little
You
bit.
know who he reminds me of?
Who's that?
A guy I played with when I first got in the league from Penn State, Michael Zordich.
Mike. I played with Mike. Mike was with the Eagles when I was in '93 when I was there.
Yeah, well, Mike was there when I was there too in '95.
Yep.
And Zordich was just a smart guy. He was slow as pond mortar, but he was so smart, understood the game, could diagnose what teams were trying to do to him, try to take advantage of him. Couldn't do it. He reminds me a lot of Michael Zordich, man. Just a good player. But you're right, man. I mean, Terrell Edmonds, I think he's a good player also. I think he's going to fit in this scheme and be good in this scheme, man. I don't know how long they can keep Sidney Brown off their back, though, man.
I think Sidney Brown is a diamond in the rough. I think Sidney Brown is another one that we got. I don't know how he slipped, how we got him, but we got him. We got like 3 or 4 players like that, man. Right. It's like, what do y'all think? We got him. We got, of course, Keely Ringo. But what's the I'm sitting here looking at my roster. I just saw it.
On defensive side of the ball?
Yeah.
I mean,
we got the kid Ojomo, but we got that other Polynesian kid, Tui Peloto.
Yeah.
It's like people just forgetting about them.
At this point, I look at this roster, man, and I know they're going to be good, man. And there's going to be some guys cut on this team that are going to start in other places. But just like you said, name brought up Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown. I played with 2 great safeties, 2 Hall of Fame safeties. And I'm not going to say that he has the same athleticism that they had. And I'm talking about Brian Dawkins and Troy Polamalu. Like they were extraordinary as far as athleticism, you know what I'm saying? Like Troy was like a 4-3 guy, 4-4 guy. And B Dawkins a 4-3-2. I mean a 4-3-4-4 guy. But like I can remember I threw an alley-oop from half court to Brian Dawkins, and he dunked it. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't a tall dude. You know what I'm saying? I threw an alley-oop to him, and he dunked it. And when he dunked it, his hands were parallel to the to the rim. He dunked it.
He dunked it with 2.
Yes, man. Boom, caught it. In fact, it was a bad alley-oop because he caught it over here and dunked it like this. So, what's my superior athlete? But what I see in Sidney Brown that I saw in Troy Polamalu and Brian Dawkins is that will, that want, and that fire when you watch them on film. I'm watching film on the cornerback from Illinois, and I'm sitting there breaking him down, Witherspoon, and I'm breaking, but I'm trying to break him down, and all I see is this guy at the safety position just sticking out, just making plays. Here I'm watching hours of film, watching this, because I'm not just watching the highlights on YouTube. I'm watching the actual film on him, and he just kept on sticking out, not just in the pass plays, but run plays. He's quick, he's explosive. He can disguise himself and be where he's not supposed to be, and then end up where he's supposed to be. I see a lot of those traits that I saw those 2 in Sidney Brown, so he could be a special kid, man. Not saying that not saying he's gonna be, a Hall of Famer like those 2. But I see that still that same want and that drive in him that I saw in those 2 players.
I think Terrell Edmonds, I think he's got a lot to prove, because the funny part is when I think of him, I always think of that play when A.J. Brown caught that ball in between them when we beat Pittsburgh. Yep. and him and I forget what the other guy was. They kind of looked at each other like, come on, man.
Right.
And I was like, that wasn't a good look, but our secondary is tight, man. I think everybody, for whatever reason, has just totally forgotten about Avonte Maddox. Like most people, do y'all remember how much that hurt when he went down?
Dallas game, man. Think about what he did in the Dallas game leading up to when he got hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was unreal, man. He should have had another sack though. If he'd have sacked him, that game would have been over. A couple plays before that, but he had a crucial sack. He the way he came up and played the run, when the play he hurt himself, it was for a loss. It was like for a 5 or 6 yard loss. Them making that play. You know what I'm saying? He is. That was that weird series where he misses the sack. I think it looked like he was going for the strip, rather than the sack. Yep.
And they ended up getting that first down. And isn't that when they got that 4th and 33 or something goofy like that?
30, man. It was the
30, whatever it was.
Well, because he went out, and once he went out, that's when they brought in Josiah Scott.
The Josiah Scott experience.
Right. And he just, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't just him. It was.
Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Him and Darius should have been on the same page, man. But it was just, I don't know, man. They caught him right in between. And that's another thing. Dallas. That's why Dallas went out and got a guy that can run. Kind of like what they had in Hilton. You know what I'm saying? They want to got specific guys to go out there and play and take advantage of what the Eagles. And they got Brandon Cooks, another speed guy, but he's a better guy than Hilton. So we got to watch them, man. Brandon Cooks is fast, and we just saw the 3rd and 30 play. They're thinking, all right, we can take advantage of that. We need to take advantage of that. So, Dallas drafted to stop the Eagles.
I don't think
to stop them.
I think with Avonte Maddox healthy, I think that negates the loss of Garner Johnson.
Oh, no question about that.
Garner Johnson balled out, but I just think people undersell how important Avonte Maddox was. The Josiah Scott experience was not good. Admittedly, he did get better towards the end of the year. He did play better towards the end. But when he first got out there, he was lost.
Well, I think Kayvon Wallace.
Yes.
Took advantage of the opportunity to play because he played soundly. He was a sound guy at that third, like I call it big nickel. When you put in 3 safeties instead of put in 3 safety, he came in a big nickel and played very, very, very good for this Eagles team the latter part of the year. So Kayvon Wallace's number's still out there too. They play big nickel. He could be that guy because he made some crucial tackles out in space. So I keep on saying Kayvon Wallace's name because I think he makes a serious leap to be on this team, man. A guy they brought in, Greedy Williams. What do you think about Greedy, though?
I ain't heard
does he fit in?
Nothing from him. Nothing from him. How he fits in. He had a little bit of cachet. He came from Cleveland, right?
Yeah, Cleveland. He was an LSU guy. He was their first pick in that draft. He was a second rounder, but they had given up a first rounder. I think that was a pick to bring in the first round pick so they could bring in Odell Beckham. So they didn't have a first round pick, but he ended up being their first pick from LSU. He's slender guy, small guy, but he can play, man. So they got him for a song and a dance.
And I put him basically in that same category as Trey Sermon.
Yep.
Got a lot of talent, got a lot of potential, but just really hasn't had an opportunity to show what he can do. And it might be the same situation while he's here.
Exactly.
But it's good to have that type of depth. Seeing as though what happened last year, it's very good to have that type of depth, man. So, but to me, the biggest X factor of the defense is not the players, it's Sean Desai.
You're right about that. Yep, I was just going to say that. You have all the talent in the world, but if you can't put this talent where it's supposed to be,
exactly. And that's the last thing we need is this Philadelphia fan base bitching about another defensive coordinator. Like, oh my goodness. But like listen, the way I say it is like this: we got a chessboard, and I know this sounds weird, but we got all queens on our board. We got
they can do anything.
Bunch of powerful pieces. Now, how are you going to use them? That's the key. No, I'm not expecting you to blitz every down like everybody else wants, but obviously, logically, that's not smart. But you do got to put yourself in some situations and do things a little bit different and make things your own. I do think they made a mistake not hiring what's the guy that he thought he was going to get the job, the defensive backs coach.
Oh yeah. He left. He went to he's with the Ravens.
Yeah. I think I'm curious to see how he bridges the gap with the relationships, because that's going to be key. And the one thing that everybody just kind of throws to the side is having him there, who's an unknown, and having Matt Patricia there, who's getting beef with Slay anyways. Now, Slay being somebody that came up and just kind of took over the kind of the social media thing, and he kind of owned Philadelphia. He adopted Philadelphia. He did it right.
Yeah, he did.
That's not the guy you piss off.
Exactly.
He's the guy. I look at him and I always say, I believe I said this when I was on the show with you guys on Jacob. we had the perfect mix of personalities.
Yep.
You had Bradbury, who was very quiet, didn't really say much.
Yep.
And then you had Slay, who was kind of a mouthpiece.
Yeah, yin and yang, you know what I'm saying? That,
Exactly. You got Jalen Hurts don't talk much. Then you got CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Right.
You got BG. So we had a good balance of personalities. Slay was boisterous, but he wasn't arrogant. He wasn't conceited. And that's what you need. And he balled.
Right.
That's not the guy you piss off. Yep. That's not the guy you piss off. So I hope him and Patricia have had that meeting. I would guess that they did, but who's to say? Because you know how things like that go. That can go real south real quick.
Talking about, contrasting styles, we don't know what he's going to run. I mean, he has some horses that can rush the passer. But how do you put all that talent on the field? You got Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox. But do you really want Fletcher playing that much? You need to cut his reps from – he played like 60-some% of the snaps last year. That's way too many for a guy that got drafted back in 2012. So you need him to be, play sparingly. But you got Jordan Davis, who you're going to have to play a lot more than what he played. He played like 30-40% of the snap. He needs to be right up 40%. There because in first and second down, he needs to be that guy to stop the run. That's the problem what they had with Hargraves last year. He wasn't interested in stopping the run. He just wanted to be out there on passing plays. So now you got a guy and Jordan Davis, who can stop the run. We're going to need him to stop the run. And you have Jalen Carter, who can also stop the run, and can pass rush. So I want to see how he puts these guys on the field. Or do you take Brandon Graham, and then you have Josh Sweat there, and Hassan Reddick, and Nolan Smith, and oh, by the way, you got a guy Derek Barnett, Milton Williams. I mean, all these guys want that playing time. It's not enough footballs for them, bro. They want to get in and play, man. So I don't know, man. It's going to be tough.
Not only do you have Jordan Davis, you got Jordan Davis down 30 pounds.
Right.
So that's the one thing I did see from a lot of this OTA tape. He visibly looked thinner, and he looked like he was coming off that ball like a shot. And I'm like, that's what I like to see. And if that can translate, now you got, to your point, you got a pass rusher and a run stopper.
Yep.
Somebody that you don't have to take off the field to go get a blow every 6-7 plays.
Exactly. Now he's gonna fit the bill, man. So can't wait, man. It's gonna be an exceptional year, and I'm saying it right now. We can have nice things here in Philly. Yes, you can. You're not gonna jinx them by saying they're good because they are good. You know what I'm saying? They'll be all right.
They'll be straight, man. They'll be straight. And like my last thing was Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson doesn't have to do much of anything.
Nope.
The benefit that Brian Johnson has is the offense they ran last year was great. Don't do the same. Make some alterations. You don't have to change much, but you do have to make some alterations. All of those trips left and trips right, wide receiver screens drove me nuts. And I would think that the offense, it was like they couldn't think of what to do in time or something like stuff like that. And it is my opinion that we have the opportunity where Jalen Hurts can have more passing attempts, and we can have the offense running the ball with the running backs can have more rushing attempts. Right. Both can be true. We just got to get rid of those RPOs in the middle. He cannot have more than 5 RPOs in the game.
Right. Don't because he's gonna read and play it the way it's supposed to be played. If it dictates that he runs the ball, he's gonna run the ball. And people don't understand that. If you put a play out there, Jalen Hurts, he's gonna maximize that play from what he sees on the field. And if they're giving him the run and keeping that defensive end out from crashing, he's gonna hand it. He'll give it to the running back and he runs. But if that defensive end crashes, that means he has to hold the ball, and he's going to hold it and he's going to run it. So you got to take him out of you got to take that out of his hands. If you're going to run. And plus we need to run more slow screens. And I call them slow screens. Yes. We call them slow. People don't understand slow. Slow screens just mean it's a screen to the running back in the middle of the field, and also lineman get out there and block before he gets the ball behind his line of scrimmage and runs behind him. They call them slow screens because the offensive lineman is slow, not because of the running back. But we need because the offensive lineman is slow, not because of the running back. But we need those type of screens, man.
Offensive line hit that 3-1000 and you go.
Yep. Right. Let's go.
Yep. Let's go. And I've been saying that for the longest time, man. I am wishing that we get our screen game back. We got Dallas Goedert, we got Boston Scott, we got Kenny Gainwell.
Yep.
We've got weapons to run screens. Run them. And not for nothing, Swift is no joke. So we got plenty of people to run screens. Use it. And I'm of the mindset that a good play action is just as good as an RPO.
Oh, no question.
Just as good.
No question about
it.
So, plus you have a stop. I had a coach, man. We never ran play action because we wanted to fake the defense out in a run. The reason we ran play action because it makes the offensive lineman come off the ball like they're running, and it gives you a more stouter sense of blocking. You know what I'm saying? It creates some distance from the quarterback and the offensive line because we're run blocking, and then we're turning and converting it to pass. So it's just and plus you keep more people in the block. So it's a solid protection, a more aggressive protection, and you can push the ball down the field because you got more people to block just in case they do blitz. I loved it.
Absolutely.
I loved it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and also, there's nothing wrong with checking down. Checking down could be a weapon for the Eagles now. With Swift out there running check downs, you can take a check down, which is a play in which Jalen Hurts went through his reads instead of running it. He checks it down now. Check it down. You ain't got to run, just check it down. And those two, I mean, can you imagine that Kenneth Gainwell and Swift on check downs? They can turn those check downs into big plays, bro. Big plays.
Right, because it's an automatic, depending on how the formation is, or if you shift it or motion, you can generate the mismatches.
Yep.
Because a linebacker's got to cover that running back. Now, if you shift or put in a certain formation, that running back is now your tight end.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if you got a linebacker covering, I wish Van Der Esch would try to cover Kenny Gainwell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can build those mismatches. And once again, that's that chess match we was talking about, man.
Yep.
And if Brian Johnson can do that, make those alterations to the offense, you ain't got to fix it. It wasn't broke. Right. But you do have to make some changes. And when you got a true franchise quarterback, you can't run him like your regular old quote unquote dual threat quarterback. You got to protect the franchise.
Yep.
So you got to reduce those RPOs. So use the running backs you got. Use them. You got Swift, you got Gainwell. Oh my God. Rashad Penny is no joke either.
Yep.
So our running back room is tight, man. I'm with you 100%, dude. I'm hoping I wanted them to go back and watch film of Big Red and see how he used to run them screens because we got it. I think people as good a season he had last year, even with his injury, people are still sleeping on Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
I don't think we give him the ball enough. And I think that's just the prime situation of you got 22 guys on the field and only one ball.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he was sensational last year. I think he's going to be even better this year.
Quarterback's best friend is tight end.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And the other thing, Brian Johnson, the relationship he got with Jalen is huge. Huge.
Trust is there.
Trust is there. You talking about somebody that's family, played for his dad, that whole thing. So that whole relationship, that's why the offense I'm not worried about. That's why I said Sean Desai is the X factor, because we don't know him. Jalen knows Brian Johnson. They know what each other is thinking. That's the most important thing in my mind. So I think AJ Brown gonna put it down again. Devontae Smith is gonna put it. We got a triple. We got a quintuple threat, dude.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We got AJ, Devontae, Dallas, Jalen Hurts. And who was and Swift and Gainwell. Depends on how they do with that. I still think it is my opinion that Gainwell should be the running back number one.
Me too.
Just because he's been here long enough. He knows the lay of the land, and in my opinion, he's earned it.
Yep.
I know Swift was balling in Detroit, but Gainwell is the only one that's not coming off of injury.
And plus Gainwell took half the reps from a guy that was pretty good in our backfield last year. So
absolutely,
I
felt so. No, let me say that I didn't feel bad. I was disappointed when I saw what Miles Sanders said about the Super Bowl and being disappointed. I was like, dude, that was your worst game of the year, bro.
Yeah,
by far.
You did that to yourself.
Absolutely. We got lucky that they didn't call that a fumble when you dropped that pass. That should have been a fumble.
Yep.
So we got lucky in that regard, man. But you can't say that, man. That kid, and we talked about this before. He was doing the same thing at Memphis.
Yep.
They tried to get him off the field, and they couldn't do it. When that kid is on the field, things happen.
He started in front of the guy from Dallas. He started in front of the guy from Washington. I mean, it wasn't like Gibson up in Washington. He started in front of him. What's the back from Dallas name now?
Pollard.
Yeah, he started in front of Pollard. That's how good this kid was, man.
Just give him the ball. And people get caught up in the name thing. His name is not big enough.
Yep.
So they don't think he's I got into this whole week-long conversation about who should be running back one. And I was like, Swift is good, but there's no reason Kenny Gainwell shouldn't be our number one starter. Now, I don't believe that they will use him like that because we just don't have that history as having a number one bell cow back.
No, we don't have that.
And I will still argue people. Nah, exactly. And I believe Miles Sanders should have led the league in rushing.
Yep.
He should have led the league in rushing, dude.
Yep.
If I did the math on this, I took the who ended up leading. I thought it was King Henry, but it wasn't. It's from
the Raiders. Yes.
Yeah.
He led.
I was about to say Chubb.
He's not. He's on a. They're not going to sign him to a big deal.
They doing the same thing with him that they did with Saquon.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Yeah, another Alabama guy.
Yep. Oh, but what I was saying was I took the number of carries that Jacobs had and the number of carries that Miles Sanders had, the difference between those two. That number multiplied by Miles Sanders' yards per carry puts him number one.
Yep.
So just by the math, but it wasn't too many times that Miles Sanders was going to have 17 to 25 carries in the game, especially when they're not running. When he got 2 carries in the first half,
right? We're talking about that.
That type of nonsense. And to this day, I'm still mad at that damn Chicago game. Still mad at that game, man. We got the best offensive line in the country, and we run the RPO. We run our quarterback 17 times. That's a game he got hurt. So, law of averages will catch up with you, man. So, but that's all my talking points, man.
I appreciate you, man. It was great being on with you, bro.
I appreciate you, brother. And you know what? I had to. What was I going to tell you one time? It was something about St. Louis,
the crib.
Because I was talking to my twin sister, because we used to live out in Creve Coeur.
Yes, at the crib.
Yeah. We lived out in Creve Coeur. We were little. We were in elementary. My big sister went to Parkway North. And we used to run for the Royal Knights.
Yes, the Royal Knights was big time, bro.
Big time, dude.
Yeah.
Man, I learned life lessons with Mr. Carr and the Royal Knights, bro.
I remember the Royal Knights, man.
Man, we used to.
My boy Chad Brown ran for the Royal Knights too, man. So yeah.
Yep. So good stuff out there. But we used to go to church out in Chesterfield. Chesterfield was one of the first places that had the big mall and the arcades and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Crazy, man.
Chesterfield Mall, bro.
Absolutely, man. Good times out there in St. Louis, bro.
Yep.
Good times, man. But I'm gonna let you go, brother. I appreciate you, man. Any other advice, anything you can give me? Trying to make this thing grow, man.
You doing it. You making it happen, man. You making it happen, man. I was just, I was blessed to be put in a position where, they've been paying me to talk, man. So it's cool, man. I appreciate it, man. And keep doing what you're doing, man. You watching the film, you watch that, you breaking it down, statistics, you breaking out statistics, man. That's the thing I need to get into more, statistics. I believe in the eye in the sky, but statistics, man, they mean something these days. So, I'm gonna get back in. I'm gonna get more involved in that. But I appreciate it, man. And hey, like I said, man, got to get me on more. All right.
Oh, for sure, we'll do that. We'll definitely touch back when you get some time and the season gets started, because I know that's when you're gonna get a bit busy. But we'll make it work.
All right, bro. Appreciate you, man.
All right, appreciate you, brother. I'll at you later.
Yep.
Peace. Yep. Had a very good conversation. So appreciate y'all joining me. And we had some other stuff that kind of popped off. But Barrett's definitely gonna come on again for sure. I'm gonna try to get him on closer to the season. Like I said, that's when he gets busy. So but it's always fun talking to him, and he's right, man. We do like text each other during the game, just looking at little stuff off the side, and like what are they thinking? But we got some time left. How many are we? 58 days. 58 days to camp starts now. So getting closer and closer day by day. But real quick, I know I ran a little bit late. We ran late with that conversation, but what I want to do is, where is? Hold on. I got to get this commercial in before I forget. Hold on.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Yeah, man, book your trip. Book your trip. And it's going to be a lot of people going on away games. Philadelphia is going to travel well in 2023. Best believe that. But one of the things that popped off late, I don't know if you guys saw that situation with that dude, what's his name, Zelb? He was doing an interview with Deebo Samuels, and he kept peppering him with questions about the Eagles, and finally Deebo just kind of walked off, left him hanging, and the guy got all pissed off and mad because he left the interview. I guess he caught him in front of a football camp, something like that. And the guy kept asking the same questions. Now, credit, Deebo did say, like, hey, I said what I said. I'm not changing it. And, that's old news. Let's just move on. But the dude kept coming with it. And finally, Deebo just got up and left. So, and I'm thinking this dude is from somebody from Philly. He wasn't even from Philly. So, I don't know. That's why I mentioned earlier when I was talking with Barrett about the rivalry that is starting up with the 49ers. Never would have thought that in a million years, but the way that game went down, like I said earlier, I understand. I did a video about that on my YouTube channel. About, like, I forget who the receiver was that was Brandon Ayuk. He had some interview, or he did a Facebook or TikTok or something. He was sitting on the couch at home, going off about him sitting at home watching the Eagles on the couch. And he was like, well, I can't really say too much because I'm watching and they playing. So, but even then, like, I understand that. Because when you lose a game like that, and that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Very bad taste in your mouth. So 2-3 weeks, give it a month. You know what I mean? Give it a month, and they go on vacation and they go do their celebrity thing, and everybody goes to the Bahamas or fishing or whatever it is. They go wherever it is they go. And then you forget about it. Almost 5 months later, they still talking about it. That's a problem. Like, now in this situation, he wasn't bringing it up. And he probably would not have brought it up if it wasn't for that guy Zell. So I just thought that was funny. that we seem to be on everybody's mind. Everybody's still worrying about the tush push and what we're going to do and our strength of schedule. And at the end of the day, it don't really matter because your schedule is getting a little bit tougher too. So worry about yourself. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I meant that, man. The media is talking like we didn't get better. You know what I mean? It don't sound right. And I don't understand it. Like they talk like we didn't get better. And all these other teams gonna have the same issues. They got to stay healthy. Everybody's one play away. All that cliche stuff. It applies to everybody. Nobody's exempt. And some of these other teams that everybody's worried about, I do not believe for 1 minute that San Francisco, whether Brock Purdy is healthy or not, is just going to roll over everybody. I don't see that happen. So, it is what it is. We're going to have another 4 weeks, 3 weeks this time. The fourth week, it'll get better. But the first quarter of the season, you got everybody, all these teams that can't tackle because you don't bang in camp anymore. And I said this last year, the teams that get over that hurdle first will jump out to the lead. The teams that can tackle soundly, technique and rapping and all of that kind of stuff. Because make no mistake, from Little League to high school to college, everything was wrap up, keep your head up, wrap up. And it seems like a lot of these guys in the NFL today, that is the last thing that they do. And our tackling last year was straight garbage. Straight garbage. From the first game all the way up to the Super Bowl, our tackling was horrible. We talked about that play in Dallas where Vontae Maddox had Dak Prescott dead to rights, and he did not make the tackle. Like, stuff like that is infuriating because all it takes is that one time for that person to get away, and they make the play. Just like Dak Prescott did, just like Mahomes did in the Super Bowl. You can't give somebody that opportunity. You can't do it. I made reference to the year before when the 49ers, I think it was Jaquiz Tart, dropped that easy interception that cost them a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But once that opportunity was gone, they didn't get another one. So you got that kind of leads into like all of this stuff that's being said about Quez Watkins and all of that kind of stuff. Every opportunity you get, you have to make the most of those opportunities because you never know when your play is going to cost you the game, possibly. And that happens to everybody. Look at Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts played as close to a flawless game as you could play. He had one bad play. He fumbled that ball. Nobody touched him. It wasn't a face mask. He just dropped the ball. That one play made all the difference in the world. They don't make that play, 2 plays. That fumble and that punt return in the Super Bowl. Special teams. I don't know who was that. Anthony, was that you that was talking about the Super Bowl or not Super Bowl, but special teams? You said our special teams was slop. Yeah. And not for nothing, if Cavante Davis learns how to keep his feet, when Dallas played us here, Dallas beats us. If he doesn't fall down, nobody touched him. He just got his feet tangled up. I think he was trying to jump over somebody, got his feet tangled up, and he fell. I think he was expecting to get hit because that's happened before, and that's kind of like a instinctual thing, even at the highest level. If you think you're getting hit, sometimes your legs will do funny things. But if he keeps his feet, he scores on that punt return, and we lose the game in Dallas. So we would have lost both games to Dallas. So you look at plays like that, you got to look at these games one play away. You watch the film on these games, you can pick plays here and there that could have turned the tide. So when I hear stuff like, the stuff like Debo was saying, or in our camp, all of the stuff that Quez Watkins and he's got to prove and he gonna show people they wrong. It's like nobody was wrong. Nobody was wrong. Quez Watkins is a good receiver. Quez Watkins has good to great speed, and he can get open. The problem is that he didn't make those big plays when we needed him to make the big plays. Right now, Quez Watkins to me is in the same boat as Joel Embiid. It doesn't matter till you get to the playoffs. Or if you're in a situation where, you're playing for a conference championship, you're playing for an opportunity to go to the playoffs, a very important game. You can't say that like basketball because in football, all the games matter. All the games matter. So every game is important. So, but you got to make those plays when you can make the plays. That's the only thing that's separating. There should be no question that Quez Watkins is our number 3 receiver. But because he dropped those balls, because of the situation that happened in Washington, because of the drop passes in the Super Bowl, that's what everybody thinks. Because if you look at the big picture, Quez Watkins had a solid year. Had a damn solid year. But those little plays take you over the top, man. Those what people remember. He catches that ball in the Super Bowl, we are like on the 5-yard line or he scores. Those are the things that people remember. Or they remember you dropped it. They remember you didn't make the play. They remember you caught the screen pass and got almost knocked out, and defense almost scored another touchdown. Which, in my opinion, when Miles Sanders doesn't catch that ball, to me, that's a fumble. That's a fumble. If not for nothing else, because it was very, Quez Watkins. Bravo, 007. Bravo. I never heard that before, but that is hilarious. Quez Watkins. You wrong for that. But what I was saying was when Miles Sanders dropped that pass, I thought that was a screen pass, and I thought that was a live ball because it was a little bit behind. I have to look at it again. I have to look at the play again to see, but that was a close play. But at the end of the day, if you got to make that play. I think that was just a bad call, and I think the defense was ready for that, and the defensive back just made a hell of a play. So, game of inches, man. It's a game of inches. So you got to be able to do what you got to do when it's necessary. So you guys know me long enough. I don't get hyped up about what people are saying. I don't care that Colin Cowherd ranked Jalen Hurts 7th out of the quarterbacks. That's his opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. So that stuff doesn't bother me. Don't care about all of that. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. So when they put the pads on and we start preseason and all of that kind of stuff, that's when it matters. Rankings don't matter. Power rankings don't matter. Fantasy points don't matter. What Cowherd said, he's another one that watches highlight tapes. You think Colin Cowherd sits around watching film? No. He gets his highlights and people feed him stats and stuff like that. He doesn't watch the games. Not all of them anyway. So if you ever watch his show, and I like Colin Cowherd, but if you ever watch his show, he talks about a lot of different stuff. He doesn't just talk about football. He has to cover everything. His is not a football show. His is a global sports show. Meaning a football show is going to concentrate on football. That's why I always mention Baldy. You got Baldy Breakdowns. You got Greg Cosell. That's what they do 24/7. So you can guarantee, like Barrett said, that they're watching tape. A lot of tape. People like Cowherd and some of the people on 97.5 and even on WIP, they don't watch tape. They go by the highlights. They want to get those fan reactions. So it's a little bit different. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'll say this before. As a player or as a ex-player, your perspective, my perspective, is very, very different. So I'm looking at different things when I watch a play. I'm looking at a whole nother set of circumstances. Now, you get to the end, the end point is the same for everybody. But how you get there is a little bit different. So I tell this to everybody, if you get a chance or an opportunity to sit down with somebody who knows football and watch some tape, get educated. All right? Get educated. Quez Dropkins. I can't get over that. That's hilarious, dude. Oh, players. Rob, I don't think Johnson's going to be throw happy. But that doesn't bother me because Jalen's a much better quarterback than anybody thought he would be last year. And I'm talking about a quarterback that's throwing the ball. If you track him from when he lost that playoff game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to what we saw last year, total different quarterback. Much, much better. Throwing the ball, anticipation, on time, with velocity, and was one of the top 3 in deep balls last year in the league. Top 3. Why do you think the major media outlets hate on the Eagles so much? It's because they're told to pump up Dallas. I don't think that it's because they're told to pump up Dallas. I just think that's just the way it flows with us. We've always you talk to any fan in any country, or not any country, but any state, right? Or at least a football city. And if you talk about Eagles fans, they will bring up throwing batteries at Santa Claus or snowballs at Santa Claus. They will talk about Philly fans and all the different interactions. But the problem is that happens at every stadium. Go on my YouTube channel, Pro Fan Talk. I made a video during the season, and the name of the video was called I Hate Philadelphia Fans. And the reason why I named it that was because I knew it would attract the attention of everybody outside of Philadelphia. But the subject of the video is I got all of these video clips of all of these fights and fans doing all of this crazy crap. Fights and throwing people down and fighting in the bathroom and all of this kind of stuff. San Francisco, Green Bay, Atlanta, all these other places. But you only hear about Philly because that's what the national conscious, if something bad happened, it could be a fight in every NFL city, but they'll only show the fight in Philly. They'll only show the fight in Philly. That's why I was so glad when that dude, I don't know if you guys saw this, that dude from San Francisco had come to the game, wore his gear, and he made that video and said, if you ain't about that, basically he was saying, if you ain't about that smoke, don't go to Philadelphia. If you light in the ass, don't go to Philadelphia. If you get your feelings hurt easy, don't go to Philadelphia. If you can give it out, or if you can take it as much as you give it, you'll be fine in Philly. Now, granted, you're going to have some people, again, in every city, but let's keep it 100. A lot of these people in Philly, they go to the next level. They have too much to drink, and they're out of control. That's simple. Way too much to drink, and they're out of control. And then they probably won't be by themselves. Usually, if there's some women involved, there's a little bit of control. But if it's a bunch of guys and they all drunk, that's when the stupid stuff happens. That's when the stupid stuff happens. So, but again, it's everywhere. No city is exempt. No city is exempt. Go check out that video on my YouTube channel. Because I got video footage. Dallas. The fans get down in Dallas. And this was Cowboy fans fighting Cowboy fans. It wasn't an opposing team. LA, Rams fans fighting. Everywhere. New York, of course, in New York. Giants and Jets. But for some reason, 007, to answer your question, it happens everywhere, but it only makes TV if it happens in Philly. And then the first thing they'll do is they'll bring up throwing batteries or snowballs at Santa Claus and all of that kind of stuff. They always want to bring up the negative. Yes, they used to have a jury or a judge at the stadium, and they love bringing up all of that kind of stuff. They love it. Hey, the 700 level is real, man. But how come they don't talk about back when the Raiders, it was people that was getting killed at Raiders games. But they don't ever talk about that. They'll talk about snowballs and Santa Claus. They don't want to talk about people dying at a football game. The gang life and all of that kind of stuff out in LA and in Oakland. It was rough out there in Oakland. But they don't talk about it because that don't make national news. Philadelphia, the Negadelphia makes the national news. That's why they talk about it so much. 700 level is real, but I guarantee you it's some real good people up there in the 700 level. It ain't all idiots up there. There are some idiots. And guess what? There's also some fans up there that will put people in check. Best believe. So, it's everywhere, man. That's just the way that it is. If something good happens in Dallas, everything is well in the world. If something bad happens in Philadelphia, everything is well in the world. That's just the way it goes. I will say this though, even with the reputation that Philadelphia fans have, and some of it, a lot of it is warranted. Don't get it twisted. A lot of it is warranted. They do most of the stuff that they talk about. They're not making it up. But my point is it happens everywhere. So, but what I don't like is people that come in that don't know nothing about our culture and they want to pile on. Like when that girl came to the stadium and said she was scared. I think it was Fred Warner's wife. And it was like, come on now. Like you thought somebody was going to steal your purse and this, that. And it's like, nah, go ahead on with that. Go ahead on with that. If you're that sensitive about it, then yeah, to stay home. But if you come, I bet I got a buddy of mine, Vince. Vince still on there. Vince goes with his wife up to New York every year. And I'm sure there's people up there talking shit. And he's wearing his, Eagles gear, and she's a Giants fan, but they up there, and vice versa. So I'll tell you what, I've always hated Manning, not Peyton, his brother. I've always hated Manning. I never liked him when he got drafted, and he decided, and he told San Diego that he did not want San Diego to draft him, and if they drafted him, he was not going to play. And it was my opinion that I didn't like it because it made me think that he thought he was above the game. But saying all that to say, when he came to Philadelphia and he was catching the business on our sideline and still picked Philly to win and was dealing with all the birds and all of that kind of stuff, he made fun of it. He made fun of himself and he rolled with it. So even as much as he doesn't like Philly, he understands the culture and he knows what to do. My boy said the same thing when I had my friend Myron Guyton. Myron Guyton won a Super Bowl with the Giants. Myron Guyton was the first rookie to start for Bill Parcells. And he'll tell you, he hates Philadelphia, but he understands the culture. He understands what it's about. He understands. I remember when talking about cultures when I believe it was Randy Moss caught a lot of flack for whatever he did on one game, and he had to let everybody know when he was in Green Bay. That's right. He did a end zone dance where he made it look like he was mooning the crowd, and he made a motion like he wiped his butt on the goalpost. And when they asked him about it, he said, "Y'all don't know what the fans do when our bus comes in." And what he was saying was, the fans will line up on the bus route, and everybody moons the bus. So he was giving them a taste of their own medicine. But they don't say that. They don't say that. So it's all good, though. It's all good. You play the games and you get on the field, and that's all that matters. Because when the season starts, all these conversations ain't going to matter. OTAs ain't going to matter. All them throwing bombs and all that kind of stuff, not going to matter. Not going to matter. So, yeah, I remember that, Vince. He did. Joe Buck was like, he went overboard with his reaction. Way overboard. Does that surprise you? So I remember that. But all right, fellas. Let's get up on out of here. We had a good show tonight, man. I appreciate Barrett coming on the show. We will definitely get him on. I am efforting to have another guest next week. I do not know. But we'll keep it going. A lot of other stuff going on, man. A lot of other sports. I'm interested in this live PGA stuff going on. That's very interesting to me. A lot of stuff. Still don't know what the Sixers are going to do. Just a lot of stuff, man. But the NFL is the gift that keeps on giving, and we are here for it. So, Troy, go ahead on with yourself. Don't nobody care about Troy. He'll live. So, but listen, man, I'm going to get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all, man. We had a good group tonight. Man, y'all was live in the chats, man. Listen, bring somebody else next week. I mean that. Find somebody else. Bring them to the show because I'm trying to make this thing grow. I want like 100 people on the show, man. I got to figure out a way to do it. If you got ideas, hit me up. Hit my Facebook group, Pro Fan Talk. Check me out on my YouTube channel, Pro Fan Talk. Hit me up there. Subscribe to me there. I'm trying to grow, man. We're going to make this thing big, bro. A2D Radio is the mothership. And we're doing it big. All right. Also, next Monday, I will be on Fandemonium. Doing sports trivia and stuff, which is not my forte. But one of the brothers of A2D challenged me, and he is someone that graduated from Western Kentucky. That is my rival, so I could not turn it down. So I will be there. So stay tuned. I will see you guys next week. Thank you for joining me. Have a safe and happy weekend, and I will see you guys next week. See you in the next play. Peace.